Today is a great day for Sisters of St. Joseph of Tarbs. Their heavenly patron we honor in a special way. I personally am thrilled when I hear about St. Joseph, when I read about St. Joseph. What a wonderful person he is. The Gospel says one important word about him. He was a righteous man. He was an honest man. It would be beautiful if that were to be told of each and every one of us. She is honest. He is righteous. Let it be written on our tombs. She was a righteous person. What is being righteous? Giving each one his or her due. Not taking undue advantages. I am really very much troubled when in this city, which has so many educated people, take undue advantage over others, especially during the traffic hours. There will be 10 persons already waiting to cross the signal. One who comes the 11th, he wants to be the first. Even the IT people in their two-wheeler always take advantage, undue advantage, by riding on the footpath. What is the use of all education if you don't know that there are other human beings created in the image of God who also have a family? They also want to go and be with their family. Don't think you are the only person in a hurry. He was a righteous person. Sister gave a very beautiful introduction enumerating the essential points about St. Joseph. I don't want to repeat. I just want to briefly consider the first and second reading and then the Gospel of today. First of all, the first reading, David, after all his wars, was very, very comfortable. Now he said to himself, I am living in a palace. The ark of the Lord is in the tent. I want to put up a very beautiful house for God. And Nathan the prophet also encouraged him. But then afterwards, God tells Nathan, come on, let not David do that. If you do something to God, God will do so many things to you in your life. God is concerned about you. And through the prophet Nathan, David is told, I will build you a house. You are thinking about building a house for me. The material house your son will build. But I am going to build you a house. The Messiah will be born in that house. That is the promise of God. The first message that is for us today is, God will never forsake those who trust Him. Those who trust Him. That's it. With regard to David, it is repeatedly told in the Old Testament in a number of passages, he was a man after God's heart. Very beautiful. I am sure Joseph also was a man after God's heart, who was born in the lineage of David. A man after God's heart. As I said, it should be written in your tombs, you are a righteous person. Let it also be written, a person after God's heart. A sister after God's heart. And then we come to the second reading of today. The faith of Abraham is once again portrayed to us. Abraham always willing to listen to God and saying yes. The faith of Abraham. Again, we see in Joseph, the father of faith, Abraham, his conduct. Even recently, we heard it read to us, the 22nd chapter of the book of Genesis, when everything was supposed to be very, very calm and quiet. Abraham is asked to offer his son as a burnt offering. You can imagine the feelings of Abraham. Take your son. If you had asked something else, no problem. So much of cattle in the farm. But I don't want these. Take your son. Take your only son. If you had asked one of the many sons at least, we can understand it. The sword is piercing deep. And the third Take your only son whom you love. Even if that son is not loved, at least we can understand. Take your son, your only son whom you love. God is very clear about what he is asking. And Abraham obeyed. Abraham obeyed. When it is appealing to us, some of us are wanting to do that. True disciples must obey, must listen to God, come what may. The letter to the Hebrews comments on that, saying Abraham was confident that he can give children even from stones. That's what made him immediately obey God's call. Some of the commentators, speaking of that passage, also jokingly say, Abraham, we don't know whether he told anything to Sarah. She would have made a big noise and then prevented him from doing it. And even the servants are at the foot of the mountain. He wants to be alone in obeying. He doesn't want anybody to come in his way in obeying. Sometimes we don't want to obey because we don't trust. Go, he went. The Lord renews his blessings, promises, makes him a blessing to all of us. And then coming to Joseph, the first lesson is God chooses ordinary people. Sister was telling in the introduction also, ordinary carpenter with his tools, working hard. God is choosing ordinary people. God wants you for his mission. God chooses ordinary people. What is expected of us is this. What is expected is listen and obey. Joseph doesn't speak at all. He is a bit more active only when he wanted to send Mary away quietly. The sensitivity of Joseph. Don't expose her publicly. Mary didn't speak. Joseph didn't speak. Silence. At least at the Annunciation, Mary spoke, Behold the handmaid of the Lord, let it be done to me according to your word. Nothing is reported. In the first 2 chapters of Matthew's Gospel, Joseph is mentioned 4 times. Nothing he speaks, except this bit of somewhat turmoil that was going with him. But he was silent, all along silent. Silently listening to God, silently obeying. Not simply passive silence, but active silence. Sometimes we want to speak and speak on unendingly. We are living in a noisy world which doesn't allow us to have our serenity at all. Joseph, look at him, learn silence, contemplative silence, obedient silence, active silence. That is Joseph. Doesn't speak at all. Immediately he obeys. He obeys the order of the king. Go to Bethlehem to inscribe for the census. He was a silent witness to all that happened at Bethlehem. He was a silent witness to all that took place in the temple of Jerusalem. He heard the prophecy of Simon. He heard what Anna did. He did everything according to the Lord, obedient to the Lord. Obedient to the Lord. In 2nd chapter it is repeatedly said, Joseph did everything in accordance with the law. Joseph and Mary did everything in accordance with the law. And then go to Egypt, obeys. Come back from Egypt, obeys. Maybe he thought to go to Bethlehem. No need of Bethlehem. Go to Galilee, obeys. Even at the age of 12, the other gospel that is given as the alternative for this day, finding of Jesus in the temple. At least Mary asks, Son, why have you done this to us? Your father and I were anxiously looking for you. Joseph doesn't speak at all. Joseph doesn't speak. But one thing we know, that he also grew in his understanding of the Messiah. My dear sisters, let us be righteous. My dear brothers, let us be righteous. Give to God what belongs to God. My dear sisters, let us be sensitive to the needs and feelings of others. Let us listen more and more and obey. Ultimately, it is not about a man who was righteous and did the will of God. The ultimate lesson is this: the mystery of salvation is accomplished by God through simple and humble human beings who are alert and constant in doing His will without seeking glory. God is going to make use of you and me for this purpose. Look at Joseph and learn this. I will do what the Lord wants me to do. Without seeking attention, in silence, in oblivion, I will do. There are donkeys in every community, in every family, carrying the whole burden without getting any appreciation. Some of them do this and that, come in the forefront, and they take away all the credit. Doesn't matter. You are Joseph. Doesn't matter. The Lord will take care of you. Doesn't matter. You will be acknowledged by God. Well done, good and faithful servant. May we look at Joseph and learn from his life and example.